The hot wind drags sand against the Roman faces as the column slowly advances. The brutal sunlight cracks the horizon, and the hooves tread on a ground that seems to vibrate like burning coal. The smell of sweat-soaked leather mixes with the powder that sticks to the skin. In the center, Crassus observes the emptiness, too confident to perceive the signs. The information arrives. The Parthians are close, but invisible. No shields on the horizon, no spears raised. Just silence. A silence that weighs more than the heat. The mistake starts here. Rome is heading for a war that it does not understand. Crassus ignores advice, ignores guides, ignores the terrain. He wants glory. He wants to be greater than Caesar and Pompey. But in this desert, glory is a ghost, and the enemy knows how to disappear better than to kill. The wind blows, and something moves too far away to be seen. But what would happen when this dust finally made its way would be much worse. The trumpets sound abruptly, cutting through the dry air like a blade. The legionnaires turned around at the same time, trying to identify the direction of danger. No Parthian soldiers appear, no training, only the increasing gallop that seems to come from all sides. Suddenly, black arrows fall from the sky like inverted rain. The dust rises, panic is born, and Roman discipline falters. Men cower behind shields as the ground vibrates with swift cavalry. The action is chaotic, unequal. Rome fights against mounted shadows. The threat is clear. Crassus has underestimated an enemy that dominates the desert as an extension of the body. And revelation comes. The Parthians use composite bows capable of piercing shields, something Rome has never faced. The first rain of arrows was not an attack, it was a warning, and what would come after would destroy any hope. Parthian horses circle the Roman formation like wolves around wounded prey. The sound of the hooves creates a hypnotic, almost cruel rhythm. From the center of the formation, the centurions shout orders, but their voices are lost in the dust storm. Rome tries to advance, but each step becomes a trap. With each movement, another wave of arrows cuts through the air. The action turns into organized desperation. The legionaries raise shields, but the Parthians never get close enough for direct combat. The threat grows. Crassus realizes that he has fallen into a moving trap. The historical revelation is grim. Surena, the Parthian general, trained his troops to kill without being touched. An army that fights without accepting a fight. Rome has never faced anything like this. And when the idea of retreating arises, the soldiers realize that there is no longer a safe direction to run to. The worst was yet to come. The scene turns into a nightmare. Legionnaires fall without seeing the face of the enemy. The heat suffocates, the water runs out, and the weight of the equipment becomes torture. The sound of metal hitting the ground mixes with the crack of arrows piercing through flesh. The Romans try to get closer, but the Parthians retreat like smoke. Advancing only makes the formation more vulnerable. The action becomes slow, painful, as if time also became the enemy. The threat grows when Surena unleashes his heavy cavalry, ratcheted with spears as long as iron lightning. The impact knocks down entire rows. The hidden revelation. Rome studied her enemies badly. Crassus ignored reports, maps, and alerts. He marched believing that gold would buy destiny. Now fate demanded. And when a banner falls under dust, everyone understands that the desert never gives back what it takes. And he was just getting started. Night falls with cruel slowness. The still warm air vibrates around the low fires. Crassus gathers his commanders. His eyes betray fear, but his voice tries to sound firm. Tension dominates. Some officers are calling for immediate withdrawal. Others call for an all-out assault at dawn. The action focuses on a fatal mistake. Crassus listens to his son, Publius, and decides to advance with part of the force to hunt down the Parthians. An emotional decision, not a strategic one. The threat is obvious. A split in the Roman army in the worst-case scenario. The revelation comes from an almost forgotten messenger. The local guides tried to warn Crassus of traps. He ordered them to be silenced. Rome has never officially admitted this. The dawn would bring the truth, and it would have the bitter taste of perdition. The sun rises red, almost presaging blood. Publius leads his ward as a young hero in search of glory. The ground shakes with the advance. The scene looks promising for a few minutes, but soon the echo of the hooves appears again, multiplied, enveloping. Arrows fall like a sudden storm. Publius forces forward, screams, tries to inspire. The action turns to chaos when they realize that the Parthians are purposely retreating, drawing Rome into a narrow valley. The threat explodes. They are surrounded. No reinforcement can reach them. The devastating revelation comes in the dust. The Romans find false banners planted in the ground, used by the Parthians to deceive Publius. It was a psychological technique created by Surena and kept secret for years. And now Publius understands no one will get out of there alive. And Crassus still does not imagine the size of the tragedy. The scene is brutal. Publius, injured, tries to maintain the formation. The soldiers breathe fast, surrounded by mounted shadows. The air smells of blood mixed with hot dust. The Parthian cavalry closes in on the siege. Spears penetrate as if Roman armor were paper. Publius refuses to back down. The action culminates when he, without strength, sees his men falling one by one. The threat cuts off their hope. They capture the last survivors and display their heads as war trophies. The hidden revelation that Rome almost erased from the records. Surena had Publius's head displayed to break Crassus emotionally. Before the final blow, when the Parthians raise the macabre tray before the Roman line, Crassus's silence says it all. And the desert laughs at the most powerful empire in the world. The worst moment had not yet arrived. Crassus watches the horror without being able to breathe. His hand trembles. The army, seeing its leader disband, loses any shred of courage. The scene is heavy, as if the entire destiny of Rome is shattering there. Surena advances slowly, confidently, using Roman desperation as a weapon. The arrows fall again. The action turns into a massacre. The screams mix with the shaking of shields and the metallic sound of spears hitting helmets. The final threat comes when Crassus, out of options, tries to negotiate. And this is where the grim revelation appears. The Parthians feign diplomacy only to separate Crassus from his troops. A trick of public humiliation. Rome would never officially confess this. Crassus is captured, and what they would do to him would become an eternal mark of dishonor. The Parthian camp remains lit by flickering torches, casting long shadows on the tents. Crassus is arrested, tied up, forced to watch the laughter of his enemies. The smell of wine and hot sand mixes with that of humiliation. Surena approaches. The action takes a cruel form. They open Crassus's mouth and pour molten gold, symbolizing the greed that brought him there. The threat becomes definitive. Rome loses one of its richest and most powerful men in the most symbolic and devastating way possible. The final revelation. This ritual was not common among the Parthians. It was created exclusively for Crassus, a message recorded in the hot desert night. And when the body falls lifeless, everyone understands that the battle is over. But not shame. And what would come next would be even more painful. The desert dawns silent. The Roman bodies scattered across the sand look like part of the landscape. The few survivors walk aimlessly, marked by the most humiliating defeat. In Roman history, the scene is almost spiritual in its sadness. The final action takes place in Rome. Months later, the Senate, furious, tries to erase the shame. burns reports, minimizes numbers, alters documents. The threat is still alive. The historical revelation proves that Rome tried to hide defeat for decades. The moral message is inescapable. Crassus's arrogance destroyed thousands of lives. His hunger for glory cost him the empire's greatest military disaster. And when the desert wind takes the last traces of the battle, only the bitter truth remains. No empire is invincible. If this story has marked you, like, comment and subscribe. This helps the channel to continue bringing hidden truths from Rome.